So yeah, but can we continue talking about our respective completely messed up stress-related ailments and illnesses?
Oh, I've just given up.
Good.
Fuck.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Well, I don't think that there's enough conversation about it, about like, you know, millennials and Zoomers for that matter. Shout out to the Zoomers. What up? That like talk about how bad stress treats your body, chronic stress. Yeah. And I was actually looking it up this morning.
I mean, there's the stress of being underinsured or being uninsured as far as like health insurance goes. Cause like I had Medicaid, you know, for a while, like I had Medicaid but I believe that you have to renew it every year. And it's just like, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but it's like, it's complicated in a way where like, I'm not sure if I'm insured or not right now. And like taking the steps of even like figuring that out for sure.
Oh, man.
It's just like if you need like mental health treatment or something, you know what I'm saying?
Forget
like
it.
just the barrier of like navigating the health insurance system itself. And like finding a place you can go to that will take your insurance, or worrying about the payment of it, or like in my situation, like not even being certain if I'm insured or not, because I was like signed up automatically due to an emergency room visit over a year ago. But I believe you have to renew it every year in this state. And like I've moved, and like if it was sent to me, it was sent to a previous address, and like I'm not even sure. Again, like I said, because I was signed up for it by, you know, someone who helped me with it in the emergency room, so I'm not even sure how to even navigate like figuring it out myself. I mean, this all sounds so pathetic, but it's like if you're dealing with a kind of situation, it's like a mental health crisis or something.
Yeah,
you know what I'm
sure.
saying? Like,
yes, I very much do know what you're saying. And it's
crippling to a point of inaction to not even know how to go about even receiving treatment.
I was thinking about this last week because I had to go get some like updated vaccines stuff for to fit in for the compliance stuff that is required by my university. And like in order to like the whole reason why I even had to get these fucking new shots is because like my old vaccine records were, you know, they're in my like pediatrician like 25 years ago. And the documents that I got from them, they weren't like sufficient because they didn't have like a signature on them. And it was like this whole back and forth. So eventually I was like, you know, fuck it, just give me these vaccines again. Maybe I'll get extra rubella and just die and I won't have to worry about this. But like I go in, you know, and this is in, you know, compared to certainly previous periods of my life or, you know, to other people, a relatively privileged position of like even having like the insurance stuff like covered by the university. But I like when I went in, like the waiting room for the vaccine stuff was right next to the billing office. And the whole time I was sitting there waiting, I was just listening to this young woman, presumably like another student, maybe like an undergrad student, just like arguing with this billing woman about like the nuances of the insurance. And the management woman there was saying like, the insurance covers this particular thing, but it doesn't cover like this thing. And it was just like, and they were like really fucking yelling at each other about it. And just the stress and anxiety when you're already like sick or if you need something to have to deal with that. And then when I finally did go in the room and get the vaccines and I was like, yeah, you know, I'm insured by the school or whatever, they were like, okay. And I saw on the wall, like literally in the office, there was like a price list for the vaccines where it was just like, they were like, oh, lucky that, you know, you've got the insurance. Otherwise, in order to meet these like requirements, it would cost you a lot of money. And I was like, yeah, I guess I am lucky then. This is like fucking ridiculous.
Oh, dude. I mean, even like in the case of something, a good example is like Gardasil. That's the HPV-9 vaccine. It's like, it's a 3-dose course. You get it, and then 2 months later you get another, and then 6 months later you get another, something like that. And it's like $2,500 each.
That's crazy.
That is. I want to be super clear. That is a cervical cancer vaccine. It's HPV, but HPV can turn into cervical cancer. Like, in what fucking world does a company need that much money to do that? That should be subsidized by the government to literally stop
I would
women
go so
from
far
dying.
as to say that any of the companies that profit off of vaccines are inherently like anti-vaccine. in the same way that there's like the anti-vax movement. Like, no, I mean seriously, because they're preventing people from having access to these things. And one of the reasons, like one of the justified reasons why, like, you know, the anti-vax community is like so hated, especially like in online places where people scream at them, is because it's a public health concern, right? Like, the state should just give you the vaccine. Like, why should there be a company that makes any money off of this at all?
Oh yeah. I mean,
is this not for the good of the entirety of society?
Right, exactly.
It seems so simple.
Dude, I was thinking about that today, just like kind of like just a broad general feeling of like, if you look at a country of like, what can it do for its people? America can't do shit for its people if it can't fucking keep them healthy or keep them educated or keep them fucking happy. I mean, there's a reason that the life expectancy of the average American has decreased for the third time in a row since the fucking Spanish flu. What a fucking embarrassment, dude. I don't mean to get so angry so early. But,
no, please. Please. Let's do it, man. Let's do it. And again, like to go back to one thing we said before, it's like the only responsibility that a company has in this country is to deliver a profit to its shareholders. Like, that is the only thing that matters. That is the only thing that, as a society, as a political economy, that we're working towards. Like, we have no larger goals about like lengthening life expectancy or increased happiness or increased leisure time or anything that's going to benefit, you know, society as a whole. We have no larger goal as a society.
The one thing that I think you guys are both missing here is that, yeah, like, we're not capable as a society to provide like basic welfare for people or any kind of like security in their health or, you know, in their economic life, but we give them like choice. We give them opportunity. Like, when I go into the doctor's office and there's literally an a la carte menu of fucking vaccines, I get to choose, what do I want today? Do I want to eat some lunch, or would I like to be vaccinated against, you know, mumps?
Would I like to die of measles, or would I like to die of
exactly. These are
not me personally.
You have
in
to,
the hypothetical.
You have to weigh whether or not, you know, between diphtheria, tetanus, and pertussis, if that's worth pissing off your landlord for like 6 days. It's up to you. You pay your medical care provider, or you pay your landlord.
I think here's the other thing. If they're gonna do like this market style you know, logic when it comes to the distribution of like medicine, then they should just open up the floodgates and just let like fucking traveling salesmen, snake oil salesmen sell shit on the corner. Because at that rate, it's the equivalent thing, you know? It'd be like either $200 for a vaccine, or there's like a guy standing on the block that has like a, you know, a potion that's like 10% laudanum that's like $10, you know?
Hey, I'm for that.
You know, like, just be honest with yourselves about what kind of society you are, you know? Let me develop vaccines and sell them.
Those are the fucking wet dreams that Paul Ryan still wakes up to in the morning. Where he's like, he wakes up with a smarmy smile on his face being like, there was a joke that probably some fucking idiot did, but it was like, Paul Ryan, Ayn Rand, and Rand Paul walk into a bar, they drink unregulated drinks and then die. You know, the stress, I tweeted about this the other day. I was like, it was like, well, it's coming to the end of January, and I really am starting to hope that 2021 is going to be a better year. Because it's like, you feel like you already fucking write it off. You know?
Yeah.
Dude.
I've already blown this shit. There's no hope for a better 2020 already.
But, you know, tell me, I looked this up earlier when I was like looking up the effects of like longitudinal cortisol, chronic stress, right? Like, what's the point of cortisol is, you know, when you experience a short-term stress or stressor, your adrenal gland, they sit on top of your kidneys, they secrete adrenaline and they secrete cortisol. And the cortisol is supposed to kind of like regulate the adrenaline thing. Don't fucking, if there's any endocrinologist fans, don't fucking correct me or whatever. But
his DMs are open, please. Tell him specifically everything that he got wrong.
Please DM me about fucking uptake inhibitors so I can think about it when I wake up in the morning. Anyway.
Somebody mails you a kidney. Just like, this is what you got wrong. Threateningly mails you a kidney.
No organ trafficking. No organ trafficking. Tell me if, okay, so chronic stress. Tell me if this checks any boxes for you guys and anybody listening. Chronic stress puts you at risk of these: anxiety, depression, digestive problems, headaches, heart disease, sleep problems, weight gain, memory and concentration impairment, spitting and screaming at your dining room table when you're recording your communist economics podcast. Oh wait, no, that's I must have written that down somewhere.
So speaking of chronic stress, here's where I'm at right now. I just realized that I've like completely crushed this Juul pod that I just bought. Like I just bought a pack like 2 hours ago, and I bought them.
Jesus.
With
Bro.
change. I bought them with change that I had to like collect from my car and various other spots around the house. So that's where I'm at as far as chronic stress.
Damn, dude.
This shit's got to change, man. This shit. Well, look, it will change. It just, we don't know yet which way it's going to go. Fuck, this was supposed to be a lighthearted episode.
Not a chance, man. Not a chance.
Fucking hell.
I'm back in the mix, bro. I'm ready to bring the whole thing down, dude. Let's fucking do it.
Christ.
Come fucking wallow around in the mud with me for an hour.
Dude.
Oh, man. Oh.
I think the other night I was just like so morose. I just played Nutshell by Alice in Chains just like over and over. Oh, God. It's not great, folks.
I'm doing the thing right now, and probably there's some people or listeners who can relate to this. Like I'm doing the thing where like generally when I'm like happy-go-lucky or I'm like having a good time or I'm in a good mood, I listen to a lot of music, right? And like the past couple weeks, one of the big change that I noticed like in my day-to-day life based on my mood is that I'm no longer listening to music.
Yeah.
Like, I'm only listening to podcasts just to fucking drown out.
Dude, you're right.
You know what I'm saying?
You're right.
Just to drown out all this shit in my own head. And I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that.
Well, as a follow-up too on the stress thing, I was also reading about it, and they were talking about like how to learn to react to stress in a healthy way. And so they say like eat a healthy diet, get regular exercise, blah blah blah. And I'm like doing all of these things, but to that point, Chris, and again,
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but those are things that in themselves cost money.
Yeah. Exactly.
That aren't even always possible for everybody.
And so I notice when I go to the gym, if I'm like in a good mood, I'm listening to music. Like, I'm like listening to metal or something, or freaking ska, even just like to get myself going. But then when I'm like feeling down or morose or whatever, freaking depressed, I'm listening to like Economic Update. And I'm like hearing about like tariffs and like, Mondragon communist enterprises in like the Basque region with Richard Wolff. Shout out to Richard Wolff. Come on the show.
The thing I've been doing for the last couple of days is I've been eating ice cream and like just kind of uncontrollably talking to myself in the Zizek voice when I'm eating the ice cream. Just like the chocolate is dish, fundamental substance, and dish vanilla. Then comes a surprise. It's just like I don't know why, but that's what works for me. I don't know. Music and podcasts just don't cut it. It's just listening to my own stupid voice go on and on. Like I'll do that for 15 minutes, and then it's some other voice in the back of my head. I'll be like, "That's stupid. Why did you do that? Why did you do that for 15 minutes?" And I'll be like, "I don't know." Because I'm an asshole, I'll just eat more ice cream.
Oh, dude.
I do a thing, and again, this is embarrassing. I'm not sure I want to even say this, but like I do a thing when I listen to music. Sometimes if I'm in a good mood, where I like because like I always wanted to be a musician. You know what I'm saying? Where I'll like imagine myself like in my mind's eye for long periods of time, like on a stage, like I'm the one performing this to an adoring crowd. And like and after I do that for a good like 10 or 15 minutes, I have the same thing. It was like, dude, you're like, stupid. Stop it, dude.
Well. I do that with everything constantly. Like I mean, it's funny now, like, living with somebody, but when I was like living alone, I got really into this habit of like, I talk to myself a lot and like, often I would like sing to myself, or sometimes I would just even do like a little dance move when I was like feeling good. I'd be like cooking and I'll be like, get the fucking peppers in the pan, come on. Like I would just do this like whole thing.
Oh, man.
I would like make this thing and I'd be like feeling so good, and then some voice in my head would be like, "You're a joke. Like, who are you dancing for? Like, what is this for?" And then just like immediately sink downward. Just like immediately go, "Oh fuck, I fucking suck."
Oh, I don't know if I want to admit this on air. sometimes like I take scooters and bikes and all sorts of stuff like that around New York quite a lot. And sometimes like sometimes you just need to get out like a primal scream. Sometimes everything catches up with you so much you just need to like get it out. So sometimes when I'm on a bike or a scooter or something, I'll like want to scream, but it would be insane because you're still passing people like walking on the street.
That makes it more fun.
Dude,
that makes it more fun. That's why I would want to do it.
Dude, I close my mouth, but just like let a little air out, and I go like,
There's even more insane.
It's so insane. It's insane. It's not an okay thing to do, but like sometimes you just get like so overwhelmed with everything that's going on that you just like need to have that release. And like we talked about this like last episode about how laughing and crying both serve the function of releasing emotion, like getting like a relief. But they like, they're manifested in different ways. It's like sometimes you feel like you can laugh when you're in the middle of crying or sometimes. So I don't know, man. Fucking primal scream it up when you can.
I don't know why that made me think of this, but this is a story that I think both of you guys would appreciate, but I think Chris especially will like. Like growing up in New York City, I never learned how to ride a bike. Like that was just not part of, like I had some friends and stuff who did, but for whatever reason, like I just never got a bike and I never learned how to ride one. And I still have like, I can count on my hand, the amount of times I've actually like ridden a bicycle. That's a shame because it's like it's a cool thing that I would like to be able to do. Maybe not like in the city just because I'm not very practiced with it. But, if I was ever in like the country or something, I could ride a bike and, feel safe and just kind of get into it. And so like the first time I ever rode a bike, I was like, I want to say I was like 20 and it was like my sister's bike and she was like living in somewhere in like kind of ruralish New Jersey or like the, rural suburbs. And like it was also right around the time that I'd like started smoking and I was like chain smoking a lot. And so because that
Nice.
both of these things were sort of novel to me, in my head I was like, it might be cool to like smoke a cigarette while I ride the bike. So
Oh man. That's a different experience.
So like the first time I rode a bike, I was like smoking a cigarette and
it rules.
It rules. After about 45 seconds, my entire body collapsed. And I was like in good shape at the time, at least compared to now. Like my whole body was like, "What the fuck, dude?"
No, I used to regularly smoke cigarettes because like when I was in San Francisco and in Santa Rosa and all over like Northern California, like I rode a bike everywhere and like chain smoking cigarettes the entire time because I was very busy. I had like places to go and things to do. Didn't have time to stop. But I remember distinctly, like speaking of like screaming or like singing while on a bicycle. I remember one time I was like riding around Santa Rosa and I had the song, the Shania Twain song, "Man, I Feel Like a Woman."
Great song, dude. It's a great song.
And dude,
it's a great song.
It was so funny to me. I was like riding around this like parking lot, this like Kmart parking lot. That Kmart, by the way, burned down in a wildfire like shortly after this. But like,
Jesus
I remember
Christ.
like riding around outside this Kmart, like just fucking belting that song out in front of people and just thinking that was so fucking funny.
Dude. Yes.
then the Kmart burns down and you look at it and you go, "That don't impress me much."
Let's go, girl.
Now when I was a young boy, about the age of 5, my teachers taught me I could be the greatest man alive. They told me I could change the world, be whatever I wanted to be. There was no one in the world like me. Every one of us was so unique. I'd not be an average man. No, sir, I'd be no average man. So I had those big dreams.
Welcome back, everybody, to Eat the Rich. This is a show about our political economy, late-stage capitalism, and the millionaires, billionaires, and multinational corporations hell-bent on staving off its death rattle. I'm Dwight, and today we have with us Shane.
Hey!
And returning from the Starbucks corporate retreat, we have Chris.
Retired poster, Chris Smith.
What was it like making Howard Schultz play Bore on the Floor?
I don't know, man.
Yeah. So, we've had a couple of pretty heavy episodes, I would say, and this is something that we've done before in the past with the pizza stuff and the televangelist stuff, and there was a few characters that we just kind of wanted to talk about and do these sort of like interesting oddity sort of discussions about some rich fuckers in the fast food industry. Turns out it attracts a lot of fucking weirdos, and many of whom tend to be extremely rich.
And religious, almost across the board, religious weirdos.
Dude, it's so bizarre. I don't know. We'll get into it. So, Shane, I believe you have something you want to start us off with.
Yeah. I mean, I wanted to share with my co-host and with the audience here just this really funny, amazing corporate video from the brand Sizzlers, which I believe is a restaurant where you are able to. It's like a buffet style kind of like fast food home-in dining place.
It's a steakhouse. It's like the chain steakhouse, I believe. I don't think there's many more of them left, or if any at all. I'm not sure. I've never been to one.
Yeah, it sort of peaked. It must be like regional. I think when I was like a little kid, I went into one of them once. I guess it's more in the West than it is on the East Coast or something. But in any case, maybe, I wanted to start off. There's this video that surfaced a couple of years ago because I believe one of the actors or performers in it was able to like acquire a copy of it. And it's this like internal corporate video. So, if for people who are not, big business salesmen, the 20% of our audience that is that, you can stop listening to this next section. But like, when you work in like a big company, you usually have either these like kind of training sessions or retreats or conferences that you have to go to. And, we're like the corporate management will put on a big show. Sometimes they'll like, they'll give awards out to their best salespeople or whatever. And then often they'll show these like promotional videos. There's this like big trend that started in like the 80s and 90s with the rise of like, more accessible or like cheaper, kind of VHS technology and like, video cameras and stuff. And so this one is just amazing. It's from 1991. And it's just this like fucking Reaganite nightmare fuel shit that's just all about Sizzlers. And it kind of works as just amazing propaganda.
Let's take a watch.
Hell yeah,
dude. All across America, the song of freedom rings. The song that's growing stronger every
This is terrifying.
Oh, we got a sea captain? Hell yeah.
Tells us when we listen to the message that it sings. Let us lift our voices. We can make the choices. We will make the most of
This is what.
So maybe we should describe what we're seeing here. It's like a boy with a fishing pole and a dog catching a frisbee and like a kid hitting a baseball and a very all-American looking,
And it just fade to Sizzler. Just fade to Sizzler.
We got a cowboy.
This is so weird. This is what like a fascist ad would look like, right?
There's the boys in blue. There's the boys in blue.
There's like a sailor and his like girlfriend next to a sunset.
No, man, he found her on Lower Manhattan on Fleet Week.
All over America, a quiet revolution has been taking place.
Yeah, so I don't know how much of it is going to be audible or whatever, but now like after the song plays, there's this whole section where they're like, a quiet revolution is taking place in America. People are working longer hours for lower wages. Like, mom and dad both have to have a job to support the family. And that's why like Sizzlers is at a ripe opportunity to exploit this. And then the whole like premise of it as a sort of, little example of sociological propaganda and why I really enjoy it is that like it frames, like we were kind of joking about in the intro with like our fucked up healthcare system, it frames like Sizzlers as something that like offers like a wide variety of choice, because the whole idea is that like there's like some kind of salad bar thing at Sizzler, like a hot bar where you go to Sizzlers and it's like a buffet style restaurant. So they're saying like that's like quintessentially what makes it American. So as opposed to like other restaurants where you sit down and you like order a crafted meal that's like very specific, Sizzlers, you can just slop on, whatever, like fucking like aging potato salad that's been like sitting under a heat lamp for lizards or whatever for like 3 hours. And then, just like go to the trough yourself, you fucking hogs.
I mean, this actually, I've been thinking about this lately, about how can we make, living more convenient, and they fucking said it too. Like they are describing, as we've said before on the program, like those that describe what they think are the worst parts of socialism are actually the capitalist things that are the worst parts of capitalism. Like capitalists are the best at describing how bad they are themselves, and they're saying it themselves. Like you need 2 incomes to raise a family. Life is moving faster. And what they're describing is like that fucking graph that we know exactly about, which is productivity is 6 times higher than it is now than it was in the 1970s, and yet real income has remained flat or in some cases decreased. So what they're trying to be, and this is something, if I'm not mistaken, Shane, you might know more about this. In the Russian Revolution, there were like canteens or public restaurants established that people could go to, so that, if you were working or if you had 2 parents working in the home, and you didn't have somebody that was, doing domestic work that could provide food for the family, that you could go somewhere and just like have food. I think that's like kind of what they're trying to do. But
yeah, I mean, it's also like, the whole idea of communal eating is something that in a variety of other situations, both like political and also cultural, it's just like different across the world. There's like different attitudes to it. In the United States, because of the sort of like, familial private property Protestant ethic shit, like it's less prevalent. I mean, the video, again, I'll link it, or we can link it somehow, and I definitely recommend people watch it, especially just to get the images at the beginning. It's just like this, it's not unlike what a lot of other corporations have done, where they try to tie their ethos or whatever is specific about their brand to some like broader idea of like America, or some national thing, as a cheap way to essentially brand themselves and cash in on nationalism. It's just really funny to me that it's Sizzlers, which is like this shitty fucking restaurant.
So that video and what you were describing about this like trend, I guess, of the 80s, early 90s, of like these corporate retreats or whatever, with these like very slickly produced videos or songs or whatever that they show at them. What it reminds me of, and I've mentioned this to you guys before, I don't know if you guys ever watched it or if I sent you the link, and I hope we'll talk about it again on the episode I keep pushing for, the one that's going to get us sued when we finally do David Miscavige and the Church of Scientology. But God, there's a really wonderful Dwight's shaking his head. There's a really wonderful video that they produced in like the early 90s for one of their like retreats or whatever, and you can find this on YouTube as well. It's called We Stand Tall, and it's like this, it's almost like a We Are the World type song, but it's like this music video, this song called We Stand Tall, and this like music video that goes along with it. It's hilarious.
Knowing the truth will set us free and take us from clear to eternity, to a future we thought would never be. We stand tall.
Highly recommend that you watch it. That's what the Sizzler video reminded me of. The exact same kind of just early 90s fucking schlock.
God, what happened?
Well, it's also, I mean, to speak to the religious aspect of it, at least like in the Sizzlers ad, like it's not even like a single person singing. It's like this chorus of voices, and it has like a vaguely religious overtone as well. So it's just so like, I mean, these are like, it's just like the confluence of like a whole bunch of different vectors of like American culture, right? Where it's like, the weird kind of choral of, churchy singing, the stupid images. Like the first image is the fucking dog catching a frisbee, which then presumably is one of the items you can get at their buffet is dog. And like, and then just of course like American capitalism all wrapped up into it. A beautiful little moment.
That actually was not. I know you couldn't see it, but that wasn't the frisbee. That was actually a Salisbury steak that they.
Eat it Sizzler, folks.
The time honored tradition of American tradition of indigestion.
Honestly, the only time, I believe the first time I ever even heard of the restaurant Sizzler was there's a Weird Al song, I think from the Running with Scissors album called Albuquerque. It's like this very long, like 9 or 10 minute long song, and he mentioned Sizzlers a few times in it. That was the first time I ever even heard of the restaurant.
Which song
we didn't
was
have one
that?
near me.
Which song was
Albuquerque?
it? Oh,
Albuquerque.
Dude, that's a great one.
Yeah. Also the name of another even better song by Neil Young, Albuquerque. But yeah, the Neil Young one, no Sizzlers, but the Weird Al one, Sizzlers references.
If you want Sizzler, folks, listen to the Weird Al version. So in kind of keeping with this theme, we wanted to go through some of these folks, some of their personal stories. And Shane, I believe you've got one that we can talk about right now.
Yeah, I figured we could talk about S. Truett Cathy, better known as the Chick-fil-A guy. It might be the easiest way to just, to say it. I don't know, the Chick-fil-A thing, like, we're gonna get into, it's probably something a lot of people are familiar with, vis-a-vis their kind of scandal or controversy surrounding, the company and the family who runs and ran the company at the time. They're like, very intense anti-LGBTQ stance, and the way that they expressed it and decided to express it in their, position as a fucking chicken sandwich company. I'm gonna come out here and first and say that, like, as somebody who has never been to a Chick-fil-A, like, fuck them. I know that there's like Chick-fil-A defenders, or that, Chick-fil-A, like the Chick-fil-A sandwich is good or something. I've never eaten one. I'm a big fan of chicken. I don't plan on going to a Chick-fil-A anytime soon.
Well, you don't have them in New York. I grew up eating Chick-fil-A all the time, man. I believe I've been to, there's the original, when he founded the restaurant, it was called Dwarf House.
Yes.
He founded it in Georgia, where my family's from, and I believe the original Dwarf House is still there, and I want to say I've been to it when I was a little kid, but I may be making that up. I'm not sure. But no, Chick-fil-A very firmly, a part of my childhood.
It's a good sandwich, and the waffle fries are pretty good too.
Dwight is canceled for supporting Chick-fil-A's sandwich.
Oh man, wait.
I gotta say the Popeyes chicken sandwich. I know there's a fucking lot of hype about it. It's really good, and it's very much just like a Chick-fil-A sandwich, except I think even better.
Yeah.
So go to Popeyes. I don't know what they're probably problematic for something as well, but
they're all fucking. Anyway, before I cancel myself with other ketchup related things, please continue.
Yeah, okay, so let's talk about S. Truett Cathy a little bit. S. Truett Cathy, otherwise known as Samuel, he was born in the 1920s. He served in the Second World War, and he is also a Baptist. He's been a Baptist for life. He, eventually, like Chris had said, he started his first restaurant, which was called the Dwarf House. It's now called the Dwarf House Grill, or the Chick-fil-A Dwarf House Grill, I guess, depending on what, like, location you go to. The gimmick of that restaurant seems to be that they have a small door on the outside that you, like, are supposed to walk through. So, like, immediately, like, obviously a man who's very sensitive to and empathetic towards, the other people in the world, keeping with his highly Christian identity. I mean, but, he built this empire on chicken sandwiches with the rest of his family, including his kids. Dan Cathy, he made the CEO of Chick-fil-A, who now I believe runs the company because, of course, Samuel Truett Cathy is dead, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. He's written a ton of books, and the only title of the one that I really want to talk about, because it's just really fucking weird and funny to me, the only, like, exposure I ever got to Chick-fil-A as a kid was seeing their advertising campaign with cows. Have you guys seen those?
Yeah.
Where, the premise is, like, they would do it on billboards, and I believe they had some, like, TV spots that were like this, where, like, it would be a cow holding, like, a sign that would be, like, poorly written in broken English that would say, "Eat more chicken." So the idea was, like, the cows didn't want you to eat them, so they were, like, telling you to eat the chickens. Like, that was their brilliant advertising campaign.
And they're dumb as shit. They can't spell.
Yeah, right. That was the other idea, too, that the cows are, like, too stupid to, like, write it good. Oh yeah, so one of this guy's books that he wrote is called "Eat More Chicken, Inspire More People."
Stop. Shane.
No, I'm not kidding.
Stop.
And the cover of the book is like one of the cows holding the sign that is like poorly written, and then he's like standing next to them, popping out from the corner.
Yeah.
I'll send a picture of this to the DM so you guys can look at it. But he's like hopping out saying "Inspire more people." Because like all of these fucking weirdos, he made this company and, all of its internal messaging and, all of like the books and talks and stuff he gave. It was all based around this bullshit around like family values and, we want to be a restaurant where like families can go to. And obviously that has a very Christian Baptist overtone to it. And so the real like big scandal that was with this company was in like 2010, 2011, what started being reported is basically Chick-fil-A, which was, again, it's family owned. The guy never went public with it. And so Samuel Truitt, Kathy's net worth was around $2 billion when at the height of his empire.
Jesus.
And so they had been donating millions of dollars vis-a-vis their like charitable wing, which was this kind of subsidiary called WinShape, to a host of different organizations and quote unquote charities whose main goal was to fight same-sex marriage legislation. And so this was obviously on the kind of latter end of the Bush era, moving into the Obama era, when that sort of flared up and a lot of that legislation was pushed through. He was using his position as head of this chicken sandwich empire to order to push back against it. And, what came out as part of this is that, like, the entire family, like, adamantly supported this. And when it broke the news, because again, they had been doing it in this sort of, subterfuge way with like, kind of putting the money in sort of hidden places. When they were finally confronted with it, both him and his son, Dan Cathy, who I said at that point was CEO of Chick-fil-A, was just unapologetically like, yeah, that's, we were actually going to dig in our heels on this. This is what we believe, and the son, Dan Cathy, at that point said something about, how dare the audacity of us as a society to try and redefine what marriage means. Fuck him.
And then in the process, inspiring a whole swath of conservative America to like eat Chick-fil-A sandwiches as some sort of protest that's going to trigger the liberals.
Right. So basically, that
was a huge Obama.
You had the protest counter protest thing happen, where of course once that came to light and they were sort of dug in their heels or intransigent, because most of the time when companies are sort of exposed by that, they'll offer an apology up or they'll try to somehow mitigate it. But what happened at that time is a bunch of like pro LGBTQ movements and organizers and stuff were organizing like these kind of soft boycotts, or they would go they would picket outside of Chick-fil-A. So then in response you had like the conservative backlash against that, which was really one of the kind of foundational moments of the whole trigger the libs kind of idea, like you were just pointing out, Chris. In fact, Mike Huckabee, the good governor Mike Huckabee, announced a national in his mind, he tried to announce some kind of national like Chick-fil-A day, like Chick-fil-A Appreciation Day, to like voice support of it, which is funny because every day for him is Chick-fil-A Day, if you look at him. But like, so
he's a large boy.
As Chris was saying, this was like the beginning of these sort of quasi or attempted viral videos of people going in and being like, I'm gonna eat my Chick-fil-A, goddammit, like, and that's gonna piss you off.
Thank you, sir. Would you like a drink with it?
No! I will eat only the sandwiches! Getting coronary disease to fucking own the libs.
Well, it's hilarious as well that like this happens time and time again. Like it happened. There was the whole thing about like going to Starbucks to like tell them to write Trump on your cup. Like the only way that the right can figure out how to like protest or to like to make any kind of statement is by spending money. Whether that's spending money to like buy a Keurig to fucking shoot it with a shotgun, or you know what I'm saying? Like no matter what it is, it always involves like spending money in some sort of way to make a political statement.
Isn't that just like the suburban psychosis thing? The only thing that these fucking psychos know how to do is like interact with brands with their money and like go give, a poor minimum wage Zoomer worker fucking hell at a Starbucks in like suburban Cincinnati.
So Shay, maybe you can answer this. Maybe you can answer this question because I'm not sure about this. Has there been any sort of like discrimination within the company about hiring people who are LGBTQ? Because I know that, I don't know if you're familiar, I'm sure you are familiar with Cracker Barrel restaurants. They had a whole big thing like back in the 90s where they, like, it was actually part of their hiring practices where it said that that like no employees were, I'm trying to think of the way they described it, to dress or to present themselves in any way that was like contrary to like a traditional, American or whatever appearance or something. And like that was kind of a way that they, it was basically just to discriminate against people who might be gay or anything like that, who didn't present themselves in this like, traditional kind of manner. And it got to the point where I believe they were sued, and they had to like change that. And actually now, even to this day, every single Cracker Barrel in the country that you go to, they like decided they were going to put this big, like in the entryway, they've all got a sign that says like, hey, we don't discriminate anymore. We're not racist anymore. Like gay people come on in. Because like in addition to that, like there was all sorts of things about them like discriminating against people of color, black people who came in and like getting subpar service, and it was a whole mess of things. Has Chick-fil-A had that as well? I'm not sure.
Well, I'm not 100% sure about their hiring practices. I do know that like that group I was talking about, WindShape, which was their like the charitable foundation that was set up by Truett and his wife, I believe. That was like the one that they were basically using to funnel money to these groups. Like they would have these like sort of retreats, and at the retreats they would not allow like same-sex couples to come. Wow. Which is, I mean, it's a bit weird because given what it seems like to be the fucking ambition of that charitable foundation, it would be baffling to me if there were a great number of same-sex couples who were like working for them or whatever. But I mean, basically what happened as a result of this controversy is it's like one of these things that kind of like flared up. It pissed everybody off for a while, and then it just kind of like simmered down. Basically, like Chick-fil-A quietly removed funding from a couple of these groups, although they never like formally again made any pledge to like be more inclusive in any way. Like I said, the founders, the main guy and then his son both were like very much like dug in their heels, and they have released a statement in 2012 after they had sort of quietly removed funding from some of these groups that just said, "We are a restaurant company focused on food, service, and hospitality. Our intent is to leave the policy debate over same-sex marriage to the government and political arena." And then, of course, after that happened, there's still breaking stories, I believe, in 2018, it was found that Chick-fil-A still was contributing to this group called the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, which was, as another kind of like pseudo bullshit charitable organization, also opposes gay marriage and prevents student volunteers from engaging or being anything other than normative heterosexual or whatever. So they're a bad group, and really the only thing I wanted to get to here as a sort of final point, and I think this kind of touches on some of the issues that we've gotten into the show in general. In 2014, this piece of shit dude died, and nice. When he died, everybody in the kind of political space that like opposed him was like, good, like he was a shitty homophobe, and yes. And he used his power to as a fucking chicken magnate to try to stop people who like love each other from being able to express that or engage in that, and not just in through statements, but by like actively funding groups who are like doing pressure campaigns, lobbying groups, which are really like the correct term for these groups are hate groups, right? Like fundamentally, yes. That's what they are.
Yes,
like that. Sure. That's what this company was doing. It was funding hate groups, and so of course when he died and everybody was like rest in piss, this fucking guy sucks. There was this whole backlash of both like sort of conservatives, but as well as the centrists that we know and love, saying like
fucking liberal bullshit, dude.
Like you shouldn't celebrate this man's death. And I'm just gonna go on record and say you should. He was a bad person, and he was shitty. He was an old asshole. He was any of these ideas of like, oh, he was a relic from an older time. Good. Well, now he's dead, and hopefully the more of these relics of these older times die, we don't have to live with their fucking legacies anymore. And I think, to that point, like, there were other people who were saying things along the lines of like, you can't just sum up a man's legacy in one thing he did. And it's like, well, what the fuck else is his legacy? That he started a chicken restaurant? Like, who gives a shit? It's not even like that genius of an idea. I love chicken. I have a new idea. A chicken restaurant. It's not like some kind of innovative fucking amazing thing. And that's the bullshit that gets peddled with this worship of capital, right? Where it's like, oh, because this guy is rich, he must have been somehow a genius. No, he was like a crotchety old weird Southern Baptist dipshit. Fuck him. Fuck his stupid chicken restaurant. Fuck his sandwiches, and fuck his awful ideas.
I have to say, like, I don't like how you are performing erasure of the bovine defense that he did. He helped a lot of cows. He is a Cotton Hill looking motherfucker too.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, by the way,
Jesus
just to the
Christ.
As another stupid point to the because you just made me think again of the cow campaign. This is something I wanted to bring up. They were also an extremely litigious organization, and were like trying to like desperately protect what they called their intellectual property. And so they sent out more than 30 cease and desists to other companies and individuals for use of like "eat more" something as a phrase. So like, for example,
the episode,
if we say "eat more rich," they could potentially sue us, and I welcome their suit. I would love to deal with that.
Nope. Good luck trying to serve us, motherfuckers. Wow, that sucked. This guy sucks. Chris?
Yeah.
What do you got for us, brother?
Okay, one of these guys that I wanted to do, and it's Andy Puzder, Andrew Puzder of Carl's Jr. fame, who was thrust back into my life a few weeks ago while researching for the Dennis Prager episode, because he's done a couple PragerU videos, which I'll get into. But so yeah, this guy, okay, it was hard to find an exact figure about what his net worth was, but looks like Forbes estimated it in 2017 to be $45 million. This is the guy. He was the president and CEO of CKE, which is the parent company of Carl's Jr. and Hardee's, the fast food chains that we all know and love, except here in the Northeast. I believe we don't have either up here. So yeah, he was born in Cleveland in 1950. Early on in his career, he started off as a lawyer. He received his JD in 1978. So he ends up settling in St. Louis, Missouri, and during the 1980s and early 1990s, this is coming from Wikipedia here, he was considered Missouri's leading pro-life lawyer.
What? Oh, good.
Yeah. So,
What?
So he's getting started off on being a shithead far before he was ever rich, far before he was ever associated with Carl's Jr. So he was active in a pro-life advocacy group called Lawyers for Life, which, from what I could find, was some sort of subsidiary of the lobbying firm Americans United for Life, which, in addition to opposing abortion, also opposes stem cell research and contraceptives as well.
What?
So this is just the usual insane religious fundamentalist bullshit. Puzder, by the way, yeah, he's a Roman Catholic. In 1984, Puzder and another lawyer wrote an article for the Stetson Law Review proposing a Missouri law that would define life as beginning at conception in the broad context of contract or property law.
What?
This is working with St. Louis area Congresswoman Ann Wagner's mother-in-law. Puzder reasoned that if fetuses were recognized as having rights in other contexts, it would establish a foundation for challenging Roe v. Wade later on. It would also influence one section of Missouri House Bill 1596, an abortion law prohibiting the use of state money for abortions and declaring that life begins at conception. Following a challenge, the Supreme Court in 1989 upheld the law in Webster v. Reproductive Health Services. The watershed decision opened the door for new state-level restrictions on abortion. So this was, it seems that this is what he made, most of his early career on. It says in 1989, he was appointed chair of the Task Force for Mothers and Unborn Children by Missouri Governor and, future Bush administration ghoul John Ashcroft.
Oh, God.
Nice, dude.
An old favorite.
Nice.
Yeah. buddy.
Just says that reminded me really quickly. One of other
go ahead, please.
Truett Cathy's claims to fame is he got an award from George W. Bush in the Oval Office, and there's a nice picture of the two of them together.
Fuckers. You make a good sandwich there, Truett.
Do I call you Truett or do I call you S? So he's appointed chair of this task force for mothers and unborn children. But then after a local newspaper there in St. Louis published an article detailing allegations that he had abused his wife, he offered up his resignation to the governor, which Ashcroft rejected. So this was going into this is one of the things, this is really one of the only things that I knew about Puzder, because these allegations would ultimately resurface later and be the main thing that cost him the position of Trump's labor secretary. So like he divorced his wife in 1987, I believe, or she divorced him, with all sorts of allegations of abuse and things of that sort. His wife apparently had even gone on an episode of Oprah's show in 1990 titled High Class Battered Women. That was the title of the episode.
Yo, I remember that.
Yeah. And she was wearing sunglasses and a wig to disguise her appearance. She was on like a panel with a bunch of other women. She used a fake name, describing the domestic abuse she'd suffered that, by Andy Puzder. Saying once she had made the allegations public, maybe we can include this clip in here, that he'd vowed revenge.
The most frightening thing was leaving, because once I made that break and once I made it public, and remember my ex-husband was a public figure. Everyone knew him and knew what he was doing. And once I made that public, he vowed revenge. He said, I will see you in the gutter. This will never be over. You will pay for this.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Right. This is the chair of the task force for mothers and unborn children, by the way.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So make of this what you will, I'm not sure. But shortly after this, she, whatever this means, fully withdrew the allegations against him. And she's been adamant ever since that Puzder was not abusive. And this is a quote, she would most definitely confirm to anyone who may ask that in no way was there abuse. But I mean...
Definitely something that somebody that's not abused would say, I'm sure.
Right, yeah. We all understand how these fucking power dynamics work. You know what I'm saying? So I think that, the fact that she, recanted that statement or withdrew those allegations or whatever, like that's even more, I think, telling of someone who was very frightening and a very dangerous man. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Jesus. Around the same time this is going on, this is the early 90s, 1990, 1989. This is the same time that Puzder first became involved with Carl's Jr., the fast food chain. He got in the door there by beginning to represent Carl Karcher, I believe is how you pronounce his last name. Carl Karcher. This is the founder of Carl's Jr., another old 1920s boy, rich shithead, who was at the time under investigation by the SEC for rich shithead crimes. What he'd done is told several relatives of his who had stock in the company to go ahead and sell it, prior, ahead of a poor earnings report. So he was doing some insider trading type shit. Yeah. Yeah.
What the fuck?
And yeah. And so Puzder, as his personal lawyer, he helps him organize this deal where he pays a fine of $664,000 to settle the case and avoid criminal prosecution or, without admitting to any wrongdoing as well. Immediately after this, I guess he basically becomes his personal fixer lawyer. Right after this, Karcher asks him to relocate to California, become his personal attorney. And all throughout the 90s, he's credited with helping Karcher to avoid bankruptcy and maintain control of the company. He becomes this very integral part of Carl's Jr. In 1997, he's named executive vice president and general counsel for CKE, which is the parent company. That was the same year. I hadn't even heard of. I was trying to think of when I'd first heard of Carl's Jr. 1997. That was the same year that they purchased Hardee's. So, and for those, I guess who don't know, Carl's Jr. is based out of California, and Carl's Jr. is entirely a West Coast phenomenon. I think they're I think they're in Texas as well, but they're, in Arizona and in the Southwest, but it's mostly a Western United States thing. And in Hardee's was came out of the South. It was a Southeast Midwestern thing. And I remember in 1997, I remember seeing these commercials of these commercials for Hardee's where they're introducing the Star Burger. And I remember I even distinctly remember this. I remember their logo like changing to include this star in it, and like what I've come to realize now was that was when Carl's Jr. took over Hardee's. The star being part of the Carl's Jr. logo, that being part of their like marketing, and so that was when the Hardee's purchase happened. But I think honestly the first time I'd ever even heard of Carl's Jr. like being from the East Coast was when, do you remember those Paris Hilton?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, dude.
Do you remember
of course.
The Paris Hilton commercials?
I couldn't fucking understand it. I was like,
Puzder is pretty well known for. Once he took over the company in 2000, Carl's Jr. and Hardee's like completely shifted their advertising to all these commercials, these like weird like sexualized commercials of like hot women,
like at the beach and stuff, like playing volleyball and eating like burgers.
I remember. I remember Paris Hilton like washing this car in like a bikini and like eating this big disgusting burger. And I remember that was the first time I'd ever heard of Carl's Jr. was because that commercial was like all over the news and stuff. And like that was Puzder's big contribution to the company, was all these weird sexualized commercials. Again, this is the fucking hypocrisy, the deeply religious and traditional chair of the fucking like committee on motherhood and women's issues or whatever. Something really funny about that, actually, that I found out today when looking into this guy was that Carl Karcher, the original, the founder of the company, like once Puzder took over and started like doing all these weird sexualized advertisements, he was like very heartbroken about that because he thought it went against like the traditional values of the company or whatever. And then like he died like a couple years later. So like that was like the last couple years.
That was like the last minutes of his life. He was watching like bikini babes on the beach playing volleyball, just like shaking his head, going, "Not like this, not like this.
What have I done?"
The world that I'm leaving to Carl III to live in.
And again, this is a bit of a tangent, but one thing I was thinking about that is kind of fucking weird and funny about that is I remember, and I guess they abandoned these advertisements as well, because I looked into this a little bit today, but I remember when these came out in 2017, which is when Puzder stepped down from the company, like they shifted, like immediately they shifted their ad campaigns, and they like had this whole series of commercials where, like I remember the first one, it was like Carl Hardy Jr. was like the son, like this actor in the commercial who had like taken over the company from his father who was on vacation or something, and like he's the one, and he's like sitting in his office with his like feet kicked up on the desk, like playing fucking video games or something, and like supposedly like he's the one that had like done all of the weird bikini babe advertisements, and like the whole purpose of the commercial was like Carl Hardy Sr., like the father figure, comes back in and like comes back in to take over the company, and like well, we're no longer going to do things this way. You know what I'm saying? And it's just so absurd that like as soon as this guy left, they like tried to like, they realized how fucking stupid all this shit was, but they like tried to like make some kind of joke out of the out of switching their advertising away from that, and like tried to make that something that would like make the news and be endearing. And it was like, I remember the father figure was like this, like he had like this, like, remember those Dos Equis commercials, like the most interesting man in the world? Like he had that kind of look, like this very like salt and pepper looking bearded older man. It's absurd. I think they made a couple of those, but I don't think they stuck with it. The whole time he's involved in the company, he remains politically active, politically involved. He was he contributed to Believe in America, which was Mitt Romney's plan for jobs and economic growth. He was a big contributor to the Mitt Romney campaign in 2012. He was an economic advisor and a spokesman for the Romney campaign. He's a frequent cable news guest, particularly Fox Business, stuff like that. Like anytime they want someone to come on and talk about why raising the minimum wage is a bad idea or anything like that, which is like, it's sort of incredible how much Puzder is willing to put himself out there and like talk about these kind of things, like say the quiet part loud.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, no, we don't want to raise the minimum wage. Like, no, overtime pay? What's overtime pay? What are you talking about? You know what I'm saying? Like, he's willing to fucking be this like almost fucking like Gilded Age type fucking robber baron. You know what I'm saying? Like he's willing to be like the rich bad guy. He wrote a book in 2010 called Job Creation. how it really works and why government doesn't understand it, in which he's critical of in which he's critical of trade unions, arguing in favor of deregulation, tax cuts, government spending cut, all that type of bullshit. He wrote another book in 2018. This one's even funnier. It's called The Capitalist Comeback, The Trump Boom, and the Left's Plot to Stop It.
What?
Yeah.
Are you fucking serious?
Yeah, no, he loves Trump, and Trump loves him, probably because he gives money to him and says nice things about him. He was a big, in 2016, he was all on board. The Trump campaign helped raise money for the Trump campaign, personally contributed $332,000 to Trump's election. And this, I guess, brings me to the Dennis Prager video. So a few weeks ago, in researching for that episode, I was sort of delighted to find a PragerU video called "Who Does a $15 Minimum Wage Help?"
Oh dear!
Which was the answer to that question, by the way, is the Democrats.
Right, of course.
Who
Yeah. That's why they've been pushing for it.
Who try to steal? Yeah. Yeah. No, that really is that's the answer to that question according to the video, because they're trying to pretend to be caring in order to get votes.
Right.
That's his thesis. Again, Andrew Puzder, he's worth $45 million. Just a good time to say that again. And so, God, I wish we could because he just sums everything up about him in this video. I wish we really should just play the entire video, but it's 5 minutes long, so we're not going to do that. So his whole thing in this PragerU video, and it's infuriating. It's almost like this pity me, sob story about business owners and if we have to pay workers more, then that comes out at we're operating on a razor thin, margin.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to cut into our profits. And again, $45 million estimated net worth.
I just did the quick math on that. How much time it would take you out of $15 an hour minimum wage to make $45 million, and it would be 343 years if you worked every single day, 24 hours a day, and you got $15 for that. It would take 343 years in order for you to make $45 million.
Rise and grind, baby.
And if Puzder would have it his way, you wouldn't get any overtime for that, so it wouldn't matter that you were working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If he had it his way.
The good part about it is that you only have to rise and grind once, because you'll be working the contiguous next 300 years of your life.
For 4 or 5 lifetimes.
It's not bad. Imagine only having to hear an alarm clock once.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Andy, you're onto something.
That's what we call efficiency, man. That's what we're striving toward.
Right.
So, no, it's to sum up his argument in this video, he's saying the consequences of what, $15 minimum wage would be. And number one, workers would lose their jobs or have hours reduced, so they would make less in the long run. It's very kind of him to care so much about the workers and to be, concerned about
that
their well-being.
shit fucking blows my mind. That shit fucking kills me when they weaponize the supply and demand curve, and they think that that's how that works. Because they're
oh, it gets worse. Hold on.
Okay. So right. Let me save myself, please. Go ahead.
Number 2, businesses will close and the jobs they created will disappear. Number 3, this is a good one. Young people will lose that entry-level job opportunity. And then he goes on to tell this, anecdote about my first job was, in Cleveland in the 1960s at a Baskin Robbins, and they paid me $1 an hour. And what he says is that, the more important lesson and the more important thing that you earn from that first job is you learn the lessons and the importance of showing up on time, teamwork, and presenting a happy demeanor to customers.
You'd make $1 million if you smiled more.
Oh my God.
Yeah. No, and then he says, no one can get that better job until they have their first job.
Oh my God.
And just this whole line of thinking, and you hear this over and over again, in these fucking, you'll find a million articles. If you Google anything about raising the minimum wage, you'll find a million, fucking articles from the Heritage Foundation and all sorts of fucking bullshit. And they're all making these same arguments based on this fucking myth. And this pisses me off so much, this fucking prevailing myth that hourly wage workers are overwhelmingly young, or entry level or work with their parents and don't have the expenses or whatever.
Right.
It's like an after school job. You know what I'm saying? It's like their first job. And again, I looked this up. Only 1/5 of hourly paid workers are under 25 years old. Like the vast majority of the people that are working these kind of jobs are older people, single parents. You know what I'm saying? Like this is their income. This is not an entry level fucking like Carl Puzder, Andy Puzder with his fucking like, you know, Mickey Mouse, you know, 1960s Baskin Robbins fucking job. Like this is, it's so cynical for him to try to, you know, frame it that way, because these people, they know that's not the way it is.
Because for them, here's
you know?
for them, I mean, sorry to interrupt, but this really pisses me off too.
No, please.
But like, for people who repeat that, because it's, you know, you get like you were saying, Chris, you know, these think tanks that will continually perpetuate this myth, but then you'll get other people repeating that, right? And the people who repeat that, right? It's because to them, they consider those types of jobs to be beneath them and demeaning. So they can only conceive of somebody working in them, right, as like an entry level thing. Where it's like, there are people whose entire careers are like, I work at a fucking Carl's Jr., or I work at a McDonald's, and I, like you said, I'm the primary like caregiver in my household. I'm the primary, you know, I'm the person who's putting money on the fucking table, and they spend, you know, their years there. I mean, those are the people who then become like the managers of those restaurants and things, you know, or you know, they're the chefs, they're the cooks, they're the fry cooks, they're the line cooks, who then, you know, cycle between a whole bunch of different restaurants and stuff. That's like, that is a viable career, and you. Sorry, go on.
No, just I'm getting fired up here. And you should be able to do that and fucking make enough to live and survive.
Exactly.
Your worth as a human being and your fucking ability to survive in the world and to have what you need is not dependent on your fucking station in life or what type of job you're doing, whether you're fucking, you know, working in the kitchen at Carl's Jr. or whether you're fucking Andy Puzder. It shouldn't matter.
Ask any like mainline Democrat whether or not they think that a fry cook should be earning a living wage. I would be super surprised if the majority of them said that yes, they should be. Obviously, like I'm sure the conservatives would say fucking no. And to the point that you said earlier, Chris, when he was saying like, you know, entry level jobs offer you an opportunity to learn teamwork. I'm sure he does not mean that they want to learn teamwork to the point of being able to unifyingly sign union cards.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not. That would cut into profits.
I mean, the other, I want to add another thing, because this is particularly that idea that like the raising the minimum wage will like eliminate jobs, and the basic logic that they use there is like, oh, if it costs me more to pay my workers, right, I'm gonna have to fire workers. Like that's the logic that is always peddled, and the fucking stupid thing about that is like, even in the context of like market logic, right, like not even like expanding out to, you know, whatever, a different ethical approach to how the economy should run vis-a-vis like socialism, right? Like, but even within the market approach, there's this thing called velocity of money, right? And the reality is that the poorer you are, the more likely you are to spend more money if you get it. Whereas if you're rich, all of your money is just sitting in fucking accounts, just accruing interest. Like, you don't spend it. So if you're working for $7 an hour and suddenly that jumps up to $15 an hour, it's not like you're gonna take that $7 an hour and be like, aha, now I'm gonna hoard this in an IRA. You're gonna fucking go to the store and buy a goddamn chicken sandwich, or you're gonna go and, you know, get more supplies you need for your house, or shit for your kids, or, you know, whatever it is. You know, like if you're already working paycheck to paycheck, having a little bit of extra money, right, usually is not like even gonna be applied to necessarily like fucking savings. It's gonna be like meeting all of those gaps that you can't fulfill already in your life, where you have to wonder like, well, am I gonna fill the car up with gas today, or am I gonna eat, you know? So like just raising the money by then, especially when it comes to fast food restaurants, just because they're gonna be disproportionately, you know, attended to by people who are of lower income or who are working crazy hours and they don't have the time or the money to go somewhere else to get food, right? Like, raising the minimum wage would almost certainly be a boon to like all of these fucking shitty restaurants. And these people, by the way, 150 years ago, are the same fucking people who would write articles like, well, if we abolish, child labor, all the companies are going to fall apart. Fuck you.
Yes.
Fuck you. You know what? If the system requires poverty wages, then maybe it should fall apart. There's an idea. There's a fucking solution for you.
Maybe there's a better system.
And
Oopsie.
Shane, to your point, to your point, like if anybody that's listening, if you get, like a birthday card from an older relative with like $50 in it or something like that, you know what you're going to spend it on as soon as you see it with your eyes. Like anytime you come out into any amount of money, like it's already spent.
Right,
you don't like sit on it and ruminate what you're gonna. Oh, maybe I should put this away. No, fuck that. You know what you're gonna spend it on already.
Mm-hmm. Getting back to the PragerU video, and it's funny. Like I just realized I didn't even finish taking notes of all the things he said because I just got so fucking angry just watching this video. And like I did write down one more of his points here. And this was he said the fourth thing he says is that the cost of all workers. This is if the consequence of a $15 minimum wage is the cost of all workers will have to go up. So saying that if you hire a dishwasher at $15 an hour. Well, your cooks, who make $15 an hour, they're then going to be unhappy with their wages, and you're going to have to pay everybody more,
no.
Which increases... Right,
are you fucking kidding me?
Increases labor costs across the board, and he even says this, that's more pressure on profits.
Hey, Andy, I'm fucking jealous of your salary. Therefore, I'm going to demand more of my salary.
I can't even hear you. Did you just break your mic?
Yeah, I think I just clipped this out, man. This might have been a little loud.
And so he didn't say this in the PragerU video, but I've seen him say elsewhere that one of the other consequences of raising minimum wage will be an increase in automation of jobs, which will then lead to fewer jobs. And it's like, but motherfucker, we're already doing that.
Yes. If you go to fucking a McDonald's now, or if you go to anything, there are all these like kiosks and things that are designed to replace. I mean, it's the same thing with like at a grocery store or at a pharmacy or any kind of big box store. Like half of the things are now like self-checkout aisles, and the wages are already poverty wages.
Right. You're paying $7.50 an hour, the minimum wage, which I don't think has budged in over a decade, and you're already doing that, And this is something I think about all the time. It's just this automation thing, the way in which automation could be in like a more justly organized political economy, like nearly a fucking utopian concept. You know what I'm saying? Like if we all owned it jointly, like if we all had the ability to work, this is kind of what we were talking about earlier, like what we should be striving for as a society. Like if we all had the ability to work less, with more leisure time, more time to spend with friends, family, pursue other endeavors, stuff like that. Like what should a society be striving for more than that? For people to be less stressed and more healthy. You know what I'm saying? And have more time to do things that give them pleasure. But no, like the profit of automation goes to the capitalist. It goes to pieces of shit like Andy Puzder. And what happens once these industries are fully automized? You know what I'm saying? Like what happens when you want a couple years from now when you go into Carl's Jr. and like they've already got the screens to order.
Yes.
They've already got this, like the screens to order. But what happens when you've also got like some automated assembly line in the back, like fucking shitting
That's
out
what they want.
with like maybe like one human employee per store.
Dude.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
dude,
what happens when like Amazon picking jobs are fully automated? Or like here's the big one. Like what happens when the technology of self-driving cars puts every fucking trucker and cab driver and Uber driver in the country out of work? Like this is a looming catastrophe. Like we're very close to reaching this point where like in the question of like socialism or barbarism, that like we're not going to have a choice. Like do we want to live in like a fucking shanty town outside the Amazon fulfillment center? Like like having like Hunger Games for a chance at a seasonal gig, fucking like oiling and maintaining the robots or whatever? Or like do we want to have something better? Do we want to have a more fair and equitable society for all of us? Like that's going to benefit all of us and not a handful of fucking wealthy capitalists like Andy Puzder, who like in the most cynical way possible will tell us that he can't possibly afford to pay more and like please don't push the minimum wage thing too much or we'll have no choice but to automate these jobs when they're already fucking doing it.
I might make a little proposal here. If it is a choice between socialism and barbarism, it's like how we say now that socialism does exist, it's just for a very small amount of people. right? You know, it's for, you know, the people at the very top because we bail them out for the banks. What I suggest in the transition from capitalism to socialism is that we have barbarism, but for a very small group of people.
A fully automated guillotine that doesn't need anybody.
Who amongst us gets bleeped, and then who am I to say don't leave that in?
Dwight, you're coming through really quiet, by the way. Ever since you yelled that last time.
Yes, I've maxed out every single level that I have on my computer, and I assure you that I'm screaming.
Okay. And by the way, one more thing about the automation. Here's the really funny thing is he's on the record being absolutely gleeful about the prospect of automation. Here, I found a quote from him. Here's what he told Business Insider in 2016. He said that increased automation could be a welcome development because machines, quote, were always polite, they always upsell, they never take a vacation, they never show up late, there's never a slip and fall or an age, sex, or race discrimination case.
Fuck you, dude. Fuck you.
I want to be clear about this. Like, I never use self-checkout if I can avoid it because, like, it's like inherently anti-worker. Like, especially like at unionized grocery stores that I might go to. Like, I always do that. Yeah, sometimes like, you know, the line's a bit longer or whatever. But like, fuck that. If I have a minute, I'll wait and I will give my work to the worker that deserves it instead of the fucking, you know, consultant-driven self-checkout. It's bullshit.
It's just, it's such a tragedy too, and like I'll just reemphasize this about the fact that like if we had joint ownership of these types of things, automation would be literally a utopian concept.
Yes,
like if we all shared in the benefits of that, you know, of be able to work less, but like instead, you know, all like the profits of all of that is in the hands of a very small number of people. And what happens when huge sections of the workforce are out of work because of increased automation?
Here's the other thing too, especially when it comes to like what we're talking about are the primary like market areas that automation is becoming prevalent, like in fast food restaurants or in big box, you know, big stores, department stores and stuff like Walmart or whatever. Is that it shows how short-sighted the capitalist worldview is. Because who do you think is shopping at those fucking places to begin with? It's not the people who have huge amounts of money. It's the people who are working poverty wages at the other strip mall down the fucking street. So if you just replaced all of the workers in those places with robots, there'll be nobody to buy your fucking products, and then your profits will really dry up. They'll be it. Like you said, Chris, everybody will be living in these like vast, you know, Trump shanty towns, and nobody will have a fucking dollar to rub together, you know. And so who's gonna be able to afford to go eat a fucking chicken sandwich? The millionaire class is not gonna descend upon Carl's Jr. to save the fucking business. Okay, fuck you! God damn it! I'm so mad.
But the answer is, it hasn't happened yet.
Therefore, it couldn't happen.
And they only
because the thing hasn't happened, it won't happen.
But they don't. Since they think only as far as the next quarterly report, because it hasn't happened yet.
That's it.
Because it hasn't happened yet, or it hasn't happened to a degree that would have a deleterious effect on their business. Then they haven't taken action on it. And they're continuing to fucking milk it.
Well, there's also, and I think that's like I think about this all the time with climate change. Like they know that they're squeezing every last bit of capital they can out of fucking poisoning the earth while they still can.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So I guess like the other side of that is like, well, let's fucking squeeze every little fucking bit of profit we can out of labor as well. Like, who cares? 50 years from now, is it going to matter anyway?
God, and we still have one more person to do. Jesus fucking Christ. My fucking adrenal glands are like squeezed out like a fucking SpongeBob when he gets dried out.
I said you guys were going to roll around in the mud. So a few more. I know I've gone over time here already, but a few more quick things. So he also opposes, in addition to opposing raising the regular minimum wage to $15 an hour, he opposes raising even the $2.13 minimum wage for tipped workers.
Oh my God.
Fucking serious.
He opposes time and a half overtime pay for workers who work over 40 hours in a week. And one last thing. And by the way, like, This was the guy that Trump picked to be his fucking labor secretary.
Dude, of course. Of course he would. Are you serious?
Yeah,
of course it's him.
It's like, yeah, this was his first choice, and like again, like he withdrew his nomination because it looked like he wasn't going to get the votes because, again, the story about him beating his wife back in the 80s popped back up, and he had to withdraw his nomination. But like this was Trump's first choice. Like even before apparently his second choice, Alex Acosta, who was the guy who fucking got his friend Jeffrey Epstein off and shielded him, from being a co-conspirator. So like this guy, was even more important to get him a cabinet position than even fucking Acosta. And here's the last thing I'll bring up right here. And like, again, this is just infuriating. There's a Huffington Post article from 2017. This was at the time that he was nominated for labor secretary. Headline is, How the Fast Food Chain Led by Trump's Labor Nominee Stiffed Workers Again and Again.
Oh dear.
While Andy Puzder ran Hardee's, its franchisees altered time cards, deducted pay for uniforms, and even broke child labor law. Which you mentioned earlier. I told you this guy is like a real fucking old school Gilded Age robber baron, man. So here's just a couple. The article starts off with just a couple bullet points, and I'll just read these. Here's a laundry list of his wrongs here. Says things that happened, that went on in the company he was at the head of while he was at the head of it. Managers at a Hardee's restaurant in Alabama scrubbed workers' hours from the logbooks in order to avoid paying them overtime.
Oh, fuck.
Hardee's workers in Pennsylvania were required to pay 10 cents per hour for the privilege of wearing a Hardee's uniform.
What?
They had to pay to rent their uniform out of their
it's like
hourly
a fucking
wage.
company store.
Yeah,
Jesus.
dude. Workers at this is the one. Workers at a Georgia Hardee's were told to clock out and sit in the parking lot when business slowed down.
Oh,
when
fuck
it picked
you.
up again, they were told to clock back in and
Fuck
work.
you. Fuck you.
Managers at
Fuck.
It's infuriating, dude. Managers at a Hardee's in Missouri had money deducted from their paychecks whenever the cash register came up short.
Oh my God.
And the last thing here, adult workers at a Hardee's restaurant in Iowa were paid a sub-minimum wage that was legal only for minors, while minors worked so late that their hours broke child labor laws. This is the guy. And again, of course it is. This is the guy that the current president, his first pick to be the fucking Secretary of Labor. The guy to be the one that's supposed to enforce the laws against all these sorts of things.
I don't want to step on your toes, but there was something I just tapped it while you were talking. I looked at his Wikipedia page too. Do you know what the name of the company, the private equity company that took the CKE Group private was?
I remember reading it. Well, who was it? National Fidelity?
It's called Rourke Capital Management, named after Howard Rourke, the protagonist from Ayn Rand's The Fountainhead.
No.
Yes.
Oh.
Oh.
Well, that says everything. That says everything you need to know.
Ain't
folks.
that a kick in the
Also
ass?
the name of the sexual predator pedophile guy from Sin City and that whole corrupt family.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah. Remember that scene where Marv in Sin City, like it's like off screen because it's so horrific, but he's like taking a chainsaw to the guy? Yeah.
Oh boy. All right. So let's get into this last thing here. In-N-Out Burger. Now I want to preface this for a second and say that this might be a bit incendiary, but I'm going to go for it anyway. In-N-Out Burger makes one hell of a fucking burger. I'm a big fan. Anytime I go to like California,
I love it. In-N-Out.
Never been.
Now, I will say this. I think that their burger is probably number one or tied for number one burger, fast food chain burger in the United States. Maybe tied right next to Whataburger. That's my personal thing.
I've never eaten Whataburger.
It's good shit, man. They got spicy ketchup.
Burger King, man. Burger King all the way.
Shane, Jesus Christ, guy.
I love Burger King. It's great.
I will say this. The In-N-Out fries are a miss for me. And I get them like well done, but even then they're like not the same. Shake Shack crinkle fries with the cheese sauce on the side, personally. Damn. Now we're talking. Whataburger fries too with the spicy ketchup. That's the real deal. But
did you know that every In-N-Out franchise, or they're not, first of all, they're not franchises, they're all family owned.
Correct, yeah.
Hopefully I'm not taking out of your bit here.
Please.
But every one of them has, on the premises, they have, as part of their like exterior design, they have two paw palm trees next to each other that cross each other and make an X shape. Like an X marks the spot. And I believe it's a reference to the movie It's a Mad, Mad, Mad World.
Okay.
What? Are you serious?
Yeah, it's a thing. It's a weird thing. They all have that.
Fucking hell. Now I know why they say we need to grow slowly, because they need
to encourage people to dig in the restaurant for money.
I don't know, man. I don't know. It's a thing, though. It's a thing. I have no idea.
So what we want to focus on today with In-N-Out Burger specifically is now their owner. She's now 37 years old, named Lindsay Snyder. She is the she's the granddaughter of the guy that started it, the couple that started it, who was Howard and Esther Snyder, and she is messy. Let's just say she has an interesting story here. And to start it off, I'm actually going to play an interesting story that came out in 2013 from ABC. It was like Good Morning America, whatever, where they talk about when she became the largest shareholder, the private shareholders, the private company. She became the world's youngest female billionaire.
She lives a secretive life. She's the face of a billion-dollar breakthrough, and she's only 30 years old. ABC's Abby Bedreau tells you about America's youngest female billionaire.
From animal style to a 4x4, In-N-Out Burgers have cult status with 281 restaurants in 5 states and 2.9 million Facebook fans worldwide. But just like their secret ingredients,
What's in that sauce, by the way?
much about the burger chain's owner remains a mystery until now. She's 30-year-old Lindsay Torres, recently outed as the youngest female billionaire in America. But who is she?
She is very secretive, as is the company. She's kept this very low profile.
In the 2010 documentary, California Gold In-N-Out, the hamburger heiress gives a rare interview talking about teaching employees the values her grandparents built the company on.
We started as a very small family, very small company, and, I like to bring that family atmosphere.
Here's the little we do know about Torres. She inherited the burger empire at age 30. She's been married 3 times, a proud mommy of twins, and her unusual hobby?
You can catch America's youngest female billionaire racing a car at as much as 170 miles an hour.
As a private company, In-N-Out's earnings are a secret too, though some estimates put them at over $600 million a year. Perhaps that's why Torres could recently spring for this sprawling $17 million estate, complete with 7 bedrooms, 16 bathrooms, a golf course, and yes, a gourmet kitchen. A world away from the family kitchen she used to work in.
You didn't do the potatoes, did you?
Ooh, that wasn't my strong point. I liked washing them, but not dicing them.
Abby Bedreau, ABC News, Los Angeles.
This is just advertising. It's like advertising.
I'm just going to pick up on Chris's lead and say that show is filmed at a ground floor studio in New York City. It's the windows are.
No. God, fucking Jesus Christ, guys.
I'm back, baby.
No, please. Jesus fucking Christ. So, In-N-Out.
What that reminded me of, do you remember, I don't even know which Kardashian it was. It was Khloe, or it was one of them. Like a couple years ago, there was or maybe even just a year ago, there was a story about how she had become the world's first self-made female billionaire.
Kylie Jenner. That's a Kylie Jenner.
This is a Kardashian.
Technically, she's not a Kardashian. She's a Jenner. One of those
famous families. This is someone who was born a multimillionaire. And it was supposed to be inspiring in some way that she was the world's first self-made female billionaire.
Yeah, there's So In-N-Out Burger is an interesting place. I mean, I've had it a handful of times. Every time. Jesus Christ, Chris, are you okay?
I'm fucking, dude, I'm just I'm on my second Juul pod. Dude, I'm fucking
In-N-Out Burger is, an interesting chain because it's you go in there, people are always upbeat. I don't think it's like upbeat in the same way that like the terrifying upbeat is in like Chick-fil-A. I think we said this in a previous episode. I don't remember what it was, but I think Chris, you said it, how they're not allowed to say you're welcome. They have to always say my pleasure.
Yeah. That's the thing. They have to say my pleasure.
Really weird. But anyway, yeah, no, it's spooky. But In-N-Out Burger, it was ranked number 28 among America's best employers in 2019 by the worker advocacy group Forbes magazine. As of 2018, they had 26,000 employees across all of their locations. This is from their Wikipedia page, and it is true, but it's a little interesting if we kind of look into it a little further. The company's business practices have been noted for employee-centered personnel policies. For example, In-N-Out is one of the few fast food chains in the United States to pay its workers more than the state and federally mandated minimum wage guidelines. Hourly wages starting at $14 per hour in California as of July 2019, which is very generous, seeing that California's minimum wage is $12 per hour.
It's 12.
Yeah. So he's got a solid $2 bump there, guys.
Yeah, that's very generous of them.
Now, piggybacking on what you were doing there, Shane, I did a little math on this. So if you work 5 days per week, 8-hour shifts, taking no breaks, and you work all 52 weeks a year, take no vacations, no federal holidays, no holidays like that, nothing like that, you can earn $28,000 per year before taxes, which would put you a whopping $2,500 per year over the federal poverty level if you're a single mom with 3 kids, for instance. And obviously, I'm sure you'll budget well in order to afford childcare for all those kids. Basically, it's a little weird, and I have a clip here I also want to play, if I may, in which the heiress talks about the values.
The amount of people that are affected by the values that we have, and just providing the opportunity, the job, what the job entails, that it's not just a 9 to 5, that they're connecting with people. They have people that care for them and can tell when something's not right and have offline conversations with them. Like I said, there's a lot of love within this company, and knowing that we have that and that we can continue the things that my grandparents started, and staying true to all of that and not changing things up and trying to be like somebody else. But I feel like that's what sustains us and is making it possible for us to continue on, because if we didn't have those things going for us, I feel like we'd kind of back off and make sure that we have that in place before we keep growing.
I love that saccharine whistling music in the background. All it needs is some ukuleles or something.
I have to say something about this because this drives me fucking crazy. This idea, and I mean, you find this all across the board, from fucking small businesses to big corporations, but that idea that internally we're a family, or we have specific values, or this job isn't just a job. Bullshit. The entire fucking structure of social relations is that you're forced to work. That's it. So when you're going to a job, the reason why it is just a 9 to 5, the reason why you work there is so you can feed yourself and your family, so you can have, some kind of place to live, so you can clothe yourself. That's it. And at all of these fucking places, they always put these stupid things, no matter what the job is. There's always something when you for anybody who's experienced a long bout of unemployment and gone to job interview after job interview after job interview, there's always some fucking questionnaire or some person they have to talk to. It's so why are you interested in this job? Because I'm fucking broke! Because I don't got no money! And I gotta pay rent! Or otherwise all the lights will go off! That's why I want this job! I don't give a shit about the values of your company. I don't care! Who gives a fuck? You're extracting my value to make money, and I'm not expecting you to be like anything. Why do you have to, it's this additional level, and this is originally what the term emotional labor meant, right? It's this additional level of bullshit performance you have to put on, particularly if you're in a service job, where you have to be smiley and happy all the time, when your fucking soul is being ground down like a fucking beef patty hamburger.
Wow.
Please continue. Sorry.
What I thought was funny about that particular clip, which is it's kind of hidden in there. She, as a person, Lindsay as A, an heiress, and B, as the president and CEO of In-N-Out, her public persona is that she insulates herself from looking like she's the president and CEO. Like, she, as we're going to learn in a second, she portrays herself as kind of too regular, kind of like meek, kind of somebody that isn't really in the weeds of what the company does. But if you listen closely, she uses a term that only people in corporations said, which is, you can have offline conversations with people. That term offline, that's something that only happens in corporations when you're in the middle of like anybody that's listening that's worked in a fucking corporations probably knows this.
All of my conversations are online. Literally all of them. All of my social interactions are online.
When she says offline, it's like basically she spends the entire time talking about how good it is to work there by describing if your life is shitty and your job is shitty, you can commiserate with your coworkers. Presumably, again, like the case with Andy Puzder, not enough to the point that you would sign union cards. But anyway, and here's a little tidbit of information that was interesting from 2006, something called the Rich Boyd lawsuit, which is, it says, in 2006, a lawsuit exposed a possible family disagreement over the chain's corporate leadership. This is some fucking succession shit, but Rich Boyd, one of In-N-Out's vice presidents and co-trustee of 2/3 of the company's stock, accused Lindsay Martinez, that was her then married name, Lindsay Snyder, and allied corporate executives of trying to force out Esther Snyder, who was Lindsay's grandmother. She was the co-founder, who was still alive at that time, to force out Esther Snyder and attempting to fire Boyd unreasonably. Preempting the suit, Lindsay Snyder, Esther Snyder, and Taylor, who's another person, appeared in a December video message to employees telling them not to believe everything they hear. Can you...
Fake news.
Can you... They said the company then responded with a lawsuit of its own, alleging that Boyd had construction work done on his personal property and then charged it to the company, as well as favoring contractors with uncompetitive bids. Tale as old as time. Boyd was then suspended from his role as co-trustee, and Northern Trust Bank of California took his place until a hearing set for May 10th. However, in April, the judge dismissed 2 of In-N-Out's claims against Boyd. A trial date was set, but was never occurred. A settlement was reached out of court. Ultimately, Boyd was permanently removed from his role as an employee and co-trustee. So I thought that was cool that, like, it's supposed to be this buttoned up thing or whatever. Mm-hmm. And as we're going to learn in a second, like super Christian evangelical as the family is, and it's just messy as shit.
I have to interject for a second.
Please.
This person's name is Rich Boyd, and I don't even have to look him up. I can see that person in my head. It's an extremely punchable face. I'm not advocating for anything. I'm just simply pointing out that as an objective fact that a person named Rich Boyd is just gonna have a smug, shit-eating grin.
Oh, there's 100% chance of that. So I think one of the most important things that I learned about Lindsay was the I Am Second short film. I Am Second is a multimedia movement and nonprofit designed to inspire people to put Jesus Christ first. It was founded by the CEO and chairman of Interstate Battery System of America, Norm Miller. You know Interstate Batteries? You know, those car batteries and shit? In partnership with some individuals from the E3 Partners Ministry. It's a platform for Christian evangelicalism. I Am Second, it's basically just people that are giving their testimonies saying how Christ came into their lives. I should mention here for a second that Norm Miller on his Interstate, like the official Interstate Batteries website, and I'm going to do a South Texas accent here, if I may. I guess more of an East Texas accent.
By all means.
This is Norm Miller saying, I grew up in Galveston, Texas. My dad ran a Gulf station and garage, so I've been around cars as long as I can remember. I guess that's how I ended up in the battery business, but I inherited something else from my dad, drinking. And basically he goes on to say how he found God and blah, 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 blah. So, and just as an aside, the top video for the YouTube page for I Am Second is an interview with the Robertsons, aka the Phil Robertson from Duck Dynasty.
Oh, it's even worse, man. I was thinking it was Pat Robertson, although Pat Robertson probably is worse. Oh, we gotta do those fucking Duck Dynasty.
Oh, no, we should definitely do them. Because there's like those pictures of them when they were younger and they just looked like your fucking LSU frat guy. But anyway.
Yeah.
So Lindsay did the I Am Second confessional style video here. Initially, I thought that it was a bit hard for me to criticize because she definitely, she's excavating most of her traumas. I mean, basically, for her, what had happened, how she ended up with the company was that her uncle and her father were the two sons that were going to inherit the company from the parents, the grandparents that founded the company. The uncle died in a plane crash in the early 90s, I believe. Pretty messed up. And the father, she goes on to explain, basically had trouble with prescription medication. He had drug addiction issues for most of her life. And she says how, you know, when she was 6 and her mom said, listen, your father's going to the hospital. We want to meet him. We want to visit him there. And she says, like, I realized later that he had gone to rehab and he had died in 1999 from a drug overdose, and at a quite young age. And I think that obviously, you know, for traumatic for any child, but because her father and her uncle both died, she ended up being the majority shareholder for the company. So this is, you know, hard for me to do and to kind of criticize, because I think above all else, we need to respect the lived experience of women, to believe women, to support women when they're in bad relationships. And in a Forbes article about her, from the Forbes article, she said here, as a young woman, she battled through a period of alcohol and drug use and 3 divorces. So I'm thinking, oh shit, like, you know, if you've listened to the show, I think you probably know that I try to be hopelessly compassionate for those that have suffered trauma, and especially for those that battle with addiction. And so when I saw that she was talking about addiction, I'm like, oh shit, you know, this, I don't know how much there is here. And then she said this.
Started smoking pot, drinking, which were things that I really had wanted to stay away from after watching my dad. I realized that I'm going to follow in the footsteps of my father, and that I'm going to meet an early death if I do not get right with God and follow him, because the enemy just wanted to wipe me out.
Smoking pot and drinking, you know, to me, it sounded like she was going through the very troubling experience of being a 19-year-old heiress and experimenting with marijuana and like 99 bananas. Like, this seems extremely normal for a 19-year-old to get into. Mm-hmm. She goes on to talk about her relationships and then ends up talking about her infidelities.
Another divorce, another affair. Jumped right into the arms of someone else. I couldn't feel like a bigger failure.
She goes through the whole video of the I Am Second video expressing herself as a victim. And what really struck me was I couldn't help thinking about the women that are working shifts at In-N-Out, that are working to personally enrich her. Mm-hmm. And I think it's weird because, like, I think a lot of times when we talk about rich people, they're additional shareholders, other people getting rich via some sort of shared ownership. But, you know, I'm not a CPA. I didn't run a Dun & Bradstreet report on In-N-Out. But as far as I could tell, Lindsay is like one of the largest sole owners of In-N-Out. So all of the money literally goes into her pocket. And she, at this time, yeah, she's 37 years old. But I would like to play a little bit more of the video right here, which she ends up throwing her dad under the bus.
I really valued the love and good times I had with my dad. But even that can't compare completely to the love that God has for me.
Very weird. Now, somewhere in like the late 90s, early 2000s, the corporation used religious text on their actual, on their food. Like on the burger wrappers and on the bottoms of the...
Wait, what?
I've heard this.
What? Oh, yeah. It says like John 3:16 on the bottom of their cups. It's very weird.
I'm sorry, but like if you are a religious person and you're Christian, right? And you hold text of the Bible to be like sacred, you're going to put it on the bottom of a fucking fast food cup?
Well, no, you throw it out after you use it for 15 minutes. That's what the Bible's for, is to throw it out. That's not even the weirdest thing about it in her use of the company. There's something called the In-N-Out Burgers Foundation, and basically it's to support organizations that provide residential treatment, emergency shelter, foster care, and early intervention for children in need. And since its inception, I think this is right. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is right. Since its inception in 1995, the foundation has contributed $1.5 million. Since 1995. And that's not even just like personal family money. It says grant making is funded through donor contributions and In-N-Out sponsored fundraisers. Typical grants are between $2,000 and $20,000. And that is not even fucking close to the weirdest foundation that they have. Now, full disclosure, the first time I learned about this was, I think it was in 2019. I went to Southern California to visit some friends, and obviously, like, one of the first things I try to do whenever I go to California is go to In-N-Out because I fucking love the burgers. Fuck me. And we went through the drive-thru, and we got, I don't know if it was like a placemat or something, or like the napkins or something like that, but it was something that said slave to nothing.
Okay.
Slave to nothing. And basically it was just this weird thing that was talking about substance abuse, specifically opioids. And it was saying like, hey, we don't want you to be a slave to opioids, also human trafficking. And I guess the foundation she created, this is like her crown jewel. And she's done commencement addresses at Biola University, which is like an evangelical Christian university in California, where she's talked about this. She started it in 2016, quote, to improve the lives of individuals and families affected by substance abuse and or human trafficking, which is a bit of a broad brushstroke there, I think. And they talk about how there are 3 key pieces to fighting substance abuse: support, helping those no longer addicted, right, of course; treatment, helping anyone enslaved to a substance, a little weird. And then this one was really just, 1/3 of their mission really stuck out in my mind. Prevention, helping adults, teens, and children within our communities from being enslaved to any substance by promoting education and increased awareness. I think anybody that has gone through like the DARE program should probably know that they've done drugs and also did DARE. Like, education is consistently proven to not have any bearing on whether or not you did drugs. Like, it's bullshit.
Actually, there's studies that show that particularly like with DARE and Just Say No, that they have the opposite effect, that they actually encourage people to use drugs. Yeah.
Exactly. And then one of the most bizarre to me was this, which is buried at the bottom of the Slave to Nothing nonprofit website, something that says Transparency Supply Chain. And I clicked it, and I'll read it to you now, because I don't think I could find, and please someone stop me if I'm wrong, find if this set of principles that In-N-Out supposedly had any actual bearing on their business practices. So it says, In-N-Out is committed to purchasing goods and services only from suppliers that strive to treat all employees fairly and maintain excellent labor practices. We uphold this commitment thought. That doesn't make sense. We uphold this commitment thought the following policies. I think they mean we uphold this commitment through the following policies. It's a fucking typo on this shit. Jesus Christ. Anyway, it says, number 1, we require every In-N-Out supplier to affirm as a part of our supplier agreement that it is not engaged in any type of human trafficking, human rights violations, or other illegal or unfair labor practices. As part of our supplier agreement, the supplier must also verify that it is not purchasing or using any ingredients in its products that originates from a nation or source engaged in enforced labor, human trafficking, or other human rights violations. Okay. 2, in all supplier contracts, In-N-Out reserves the right to verify the supplier's compliance with this human rights policy, in addition to our safety and quality standards, through both announced and unannounced audits by In-N-Out or third parties working on In-N-Out's behalf. If any supplier is found to be in violation of these standards, In-N-Out intends to terminate the supplier's contract. Our standards are clearly communicated to each supplier prior to executing any new contracts. So I won't belabor the rest of them, but basically it's just saying like, hey, we will stop doing business with anybody that is doing human trafficking. Any one of our vendors is doing human trafficking. But I can't find anyone that has done any of this. It just seems like posturing to me. I don't quite get it. I don't know. She's worth $3.6 billion. She fucking sucks. If she really was interested in the social equity of her employees, like barely keeping them above the poverty level,
right, exactly,
is not enough. Yeah. Like, let's just for fun. She's worth $3.6 billion. Let's just say we left her with $100 million, right, to live off of for the rest of her life. I think you could swing it. So that's $3.5 billion. If you distributed that equally amongst all of her employees, that's $134,000. I think that would change everybody's lives, especially in fucking California. Are you kidding me?
You know what I think would really help to prevent drug addiction far more than any kind of like weird DARE type education. It would be maybe not squeezing every bit of capital out of their labor that you can, and leaving them like just at the poverty line. You know what I'm saying? And like leaving them in a precarious situation where they may, be overstressed and be more likely to turn to drugs or alcohol. Just a thought.
That seems a bit radical to me, Chris. I don't know if I see it. Look, to kind of wrap this up, I mean, the point is any corporation, any private or public or whatever, that has an enormous concentration of wealth to that small of an amount of an individual, and in this case, like fucking one person, one 37-year-old worth $3.7 million, who literally threw her dead dad under the bus to say how much she loves God. She could do the good of God's, not to even mention the fucking unbelievable hypocrisy that there is if you're just talking Christ-like behavior.
Yeah.
To hoard, fucking go through the eye, you know.
Right.
It's
there's very, very specific things in the Bible about rich people.
What is it? It's easier for a camel to get through the eye of a needle.
For a camel to pass through a needle's eye than for a rich person to enter the kingdom of heaven. What's your thoughts on that, Lindsay?
I just don't see any recourse for this. Like it's unexcusable behavior for just to have at that time the youngest female billionaire in the United States. It is not something to celebrate.
Yeah.
Let's just say that there's a 50-50 split between male and female in the workforce. At 13,000 women that she has the power to change the lives of every day and doesn't.
Right, exactly.
You don't need $3.6 billion to live off of. I couldn't even imagine living off of $100 million. That's not even a life that we can even fathom. Doesn't fucking.
If I had $500,
yeah, right, exactly,
it would be life-changing.
Yeah, exactly. Well, but I mean, Chris, wouldn't you prefer to have like a piece of garbage that has like a tokenist slogan written on it, like
yeah,
chin up, buddy?
It comes with a strawberry milkshake in it, man. I'm all about it.
Not gonna lie,
I like the slave to nothing thing, except your wages. that's what should be printed on the bottom of the fucking cup or whatever. Slave to nothing. My God.
Dude, it's very fucked up. I can't believe that somebody that lived in a family with somebody in her immediate family that had substance abuse issues to have such a bad understanding of substance abuse issues. It doesn't seem right to me.
Well, I mean, she overcame it. The fact that her family is worth billions of dollars and she had, tremendous, resources unavailable to the average person to, get to the other side of her addiction, that doesn't matter. She herself, personally, she
didn't even say that she had an addiction problem. She said that she smoked a little weed and got drunk.
My thought on that is that maybe that is all it is, but maybe to push back a little bit, maybe in her position, she felt that that's all that she should say. Maybe perhaps it was more than that, but she didn't want to put that out there. Who knows?
Could be. I've met a few born-again Christians. There are two in my mind that I remember from college, and both of whom described like a legitimately terrifying experience. They said that they basically was like, both of them, it was exactly the same, which was a little weird. And they said like they were basically high as shit at like 6 a.m. and the sun came up and they saw Jesus and they realized that they needed to change their ways and something.
Literally my uncle has that story.
Really?
Interestingly, that's also Bin Laden's story. That's not a joke. I'm not being facetious. That was his thing. He was like a party playboy, he was a millionaire or billionaire in his family, and he would like stay up all night and do drugs, and one morning he had a revelation, probably in some like fucking coke pit, and was like, oh my God, I need to put my life together and do something meaningful.
My uncle has a story about, having been, a big partier or whatever, drinker, pot smoker in the 70s. And then the way he tells it, he was on a trip to the Grand Canyon and he was at the bottom of the Grand Canyon and he was had some spiritual vision where God came down and spoke to him or something. I don't know. And now, ever since then, he is a preacher.
Really?
He's an evangelical preacher. Yeah, he's very, very interesting views on gay people.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
So he turned his life around completely.
Same for George W. Bush, I guess.
Yeah.
Booze and coke for God knows how many decades, and then threw it all the way to kill 500,000 Iraqi civilians.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As Christ would have wanted.
3,000 people in Lower Manhattan.
It's true, folks. You know it in your heart. You know it's true.
Wow, what a really nice uplifting episode to have.
I'm so happy about it, man. I'm so happy about it.
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good.
I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
I'm a bit interested in the Popeye's chicken sandwich, if I can be totally honest.
It's good. I recommend
there's anything.
The startling thing to me about doing this show and doing the one we did on like the pizza guys and just looking into this is just like how pervasive this weird evangelical shit is in the fast food industry. It is just it is honestly baffling to me. Like, I mean, there's the immediate thing that we were kind of just playing with, was just like the obvious hypocrisy of anyone claiming to have assumed, a Christian lifestyle or to integrate Christian values when it's like literally the most interesting thing in the New Testament is when he like fucking throws the money lenders out of the church. Like that's the most interesting thing, right? Like, and just the, the obvious hypocrisy of those things in tandem, but just like the weird energy that emanates from American food, like the stuff that makes us obese also like is just fucking rotten to the core with these lying sacks of shit like hate mongers. And it's just fascinating to me, man.
They're hate mongers.
Yeah.
They're hate mongers. Well, maybe I don't know. Maybe it serves a function because they need to believe that in the case of, I think all of these guys that we've talked about today, they didn't start the business, but they are enormous beneficiaries of the business and even more enormous beneficiaries of the work of the tens of thousands of workers that produce it. And so maybe you just have to think that you're like, serving some higher purpose in order to fucking sleep at night.
Well, it's also like probably some version of the whole Calvinist thing too, where it's like, I'm rich, so I must be good, right? Like it's a way to try and reckon with that, obviously irreconcilability of being like a total piece of shit and being like a wealthy asshole and trying to find some kind of like higher purpose or meaning to what it is ultimately, which is what you just want, which is to be a decadent swine, like fucking, eating up the livelihoods of everybody else in the country. Disgusting hogs for the slaughter.
I just remember last time I was in Southern California was literally during the fires. And the day that we left, we got to LAX and you could smell the fires. And when we were driving to our friend's place, we went to In-N-Out. And I remember it felt like it was like 90 degrees or something and just dry. And a lot of the In-N-Out places have drive-ins, like most of them, like some of the locations you can't walk into, just drive-ins. And I remember this young woman standing there, like taking orders, standing outside, and it just fucking baking in the heat. And she was in direct sunlight, and I was just thinking, like, how the fuck is this lady standing here in direct sunlight when it's 95 degrees outside? Like, I would wither and perish. I would die. I would be a raisin. I would fucking die. And how is she doing this? And then you think like, oh, she's being paid $2 over the minimum wage. Meanwhile, the owner that is directly benefiting all of this, except for me, who's eating the delicious burger, double, what's up? Is just dying doing it.
So if I may real quick, shout out to the In-N-Out Burger in Santa Rosa, California, it's like right down the street from the county jail.
Really?
So like every time I would be released from jail, that would be the very first place I would go. Yeah, it's great, man. It's like it was the best spot in town too to panhandle at.
Really?
Because like as opposed to like a highway exit or something where like once it gets dark, you're not really making any more money there. But like you could go hold a sign at the drive-through line, which was open till like 1 or 2 in the morning, and it's just like they're packed constantly. It's a non-stop stream of cars. So yeah, every time I go to get out of jail, that would be my refuge. I would go to the In-N-Out there and get a couple dollars and get a burger, and it was very nice. Spent a lot of time there.
Wow. Jesus Christ.
So shout out to the workers of the In-N-Out in Santa Rosa for always making me feel accommodated.
That's really cool. Stay cool, folks.
Stay cool.
Stay cool, folks.
My name is Jerry. How can I help you today? Welcome to heaven. Ooh, yeah, I mean Chick-fil-A. Roll up to your table, smiling like a fool. Sorry if I'm awkward. I was homeschooled. Hey, You don't have to bow your head. Nah. You don't have to pray for your food. Nah. Had a Bible study in the back. We already pray for you. Pre-blessed. It is my pleasure to serve you. Ay. It is my pleasure to serve you. Ay. We're serving the chicken the Lord's way, unless it's a Sunday. My pleasure to serve you. It is my pleasure to serve you. Ay. It is my pleasure to serve you. Ay. We're serving the chicken the Lord's way, unless it's a Sunday. My pleasure to serve you. Would you like perfectly crafted and drafted Polynesian sauce? Dipping and dabbing, using your napkin. You know they extra soft. Keep an eye out for the refill.